Welcome back to the Rare Coins Collections, coin collectors and enthusiasts. If you're a fan of rare and valuable coins, you're in for a treat today. In this video, we're going to focus on a special piece of American numismatic history, the 1972 Kennedy half-dollar with the D mint mark. While this coin might seem like just another half-dollar at first glance, there's much more to it than meets the eye. In fact, this seemingly humble coin could be worth a small fortune, and today, we're going to explain exactly why. Let's start with some background. The Kennedy half-dollar was first introduced in 1964 as a tribute to President John F. Kennedy after his tragic assassination. The coin quickly became a symbol of national pride, and its design has remained largely unchanged since then. On the obverse side, you'll find the profile of President Kennedy, designed by the famed sculptor Gilroy Roberts. On the reverse side, you'll see the classic image of the U.S. seal, featuring an eagle with outstretched wings, clutching an olive branch and arrows, symbols of peace and strength. Now, the Kennedy half-dollar was struck at several U.S. mint facilities, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The D mint mark indicates that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint, which is one of the primary locations for minting circulating coins in the United States. Most of the coins you'll come across will have this mint mark, but the 1972 D Kennedy half-dollar stands out for a couple of reasons. The 1972 Kennedy half-dollar was minted in large quantities, and like many coins from this era, it was circulated extensively. So, why is it so special? Well, what truly makes this coin valuable isn't necessarily the total number minted, but rather the condition of the coin and the rare characteristics it might possess. In general, coins from the 1970s were widely used in daily transactions, meaning they've often been subjected to a fair amount of wear and tear. So, finding one in pristine or near-perfect condition is incredibly rare, and that rarity is what drives up the value of these coins. When evaluating a coin like the 1972 Kennedy half-dollar, collectors look at a few key factors to determine its worth. The first is the coin's condition, or grade. Coins are graded on a scale that ranges from good to mint state, with the highest grade being MS 70, representing a flawless, uncirculated coin. The better the condition, the higher the value. For a coin to achieve this level of perfection, it needs to have been well preserved and carefully stored, avoiding any damage, scratches, or discoloration. While the 1972 D Kennedy half-dollar is a common coin in terms of mintage, some variations can make it stand out. One of the most interesting aspects of this coin is the existence of a potential error in the minting process. Specifically, some of these coins were struck with a double die error, meaning that the design was accidentally stamped multiple times, creating a doubling effect on certain parts of the coin. The doubling is most noticeable on the inscriptions and the date on the coin, and it's this type of error that can make a seemingly common coin extraordinarily valuable. Double die errors are among the most sought-after mistakes in coin collecting. When you find a Kennedy half-dollar with a noticeable double die, collectors go wild, and the coin can fetch far higher prices than one without the error. These error coins are highly prized because they're unique. There's only one like it, making it an extremely rare find. If you happen to come across a 1972 Kennedy half-dollar with a double die error, you could be looking at a real treasure. Now, let's get to the big question: how much could a 1972 D Kennedy half-dollar be worth? As you might expect, the value depends largely on the condition of the coin and whether it has any unique characteristics, such as a minting error. While most 1972 D Kennedy half-dollars are worth only a few dollars, a well-preserved example or one with a minting error can command significantly higher prices. In fact, certain coins from this series have sold at auction for astonishing amounts. Hold on to your hats, because the value of a 1972 Kennedy half-dollar in exceptional condition, especially one with a double die error, can reach as much as $104,000. That's right, $104,000 for a single coin. While this may seem like an unbelievable price for a coin that's often passed over as just another piece of currency, it goes to show just how much rarity and condition can impact the value of a coin. If you happen to have a 1972 D. Kennedy half-dollar in your collection, or if you find one tucked away in a drawer or coin jar, it's definitely worth taking a closer look. A coin that's been kept in excellent condition or one with an error could be worth far more than you think. You might just be holding on to a hidden treasure that could change your financial future. To summarize, the 1972 D. Kennedy half-dollar is not just a piece of U.S. currency, it's a potential goldmine for collectors who know what to look for. Whether it's a coin with a minting error or simply one that's been carefully preserved, this coin has the potential to be worth an impressive amount of money. So, the next time you're going through your coin collection or sorting through a jar of change, keep an eye out for that 1972 D. mint mark. You could be sitting on a rare treasure that's worth more than you ever imagined. Today, we're diving into a fascinating coin from the United States that might not get as much attention as some of its counterparts, but believe me, it's a hidden gem with incredible value potential. We're talking about the 1981 Kennedy half-dollar with the P. mint mark. At first glance, this coin might seem like just another half-dollar, but don't be fooled, there's much more to it than meets the eye, and it could be worth a lot more than you might think. Let's rewind to 1981. It was a time of transition in the United States, with President Ronald Reagan taking office and the country entering a new era of political and economic change. The Kennedy half-dollar, however, had already been part of the American currency landscape for nearly 2 decades by this point. It was first minted in 1964 as a tribute to President John F. Kennedy following his tragic assassination. The coin features a portrait of President Kennedy on the obverse, designed by Gilroy Roberts, and the reverse side showcases the U.S. seal with an eagle holding an olive branch and arrows, symbolizing strength and peace. Now, let's focus on the 1981 version of the Kennedy half-dollar, which was minted at the Philadelphia Mint. The P. mint mark signifies that the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the primary U.S. mints for producing coins. In the early years, the Kennedy half-dollar was produced in high numbers, and millions of coins were struck in the late 20th century. So, what makes the 1981 P. Kennedy half-dollar so special? To start with, coins minted in 1981 were made in relatively large quantities, and like many circulating coins, most of them were used in everyday transactions. Over time, these coins passed through countless hands, which means many of them experienced wear and tear. For a coin to be valuable, it needs to be in exceptional condition, preferably uncirculated or in near-perfect state. This is where the 1981 P. Kennedy half-dollar has an interesting twist. The coin was struck in a time when the United States was transitioning away from silver content in circulating coins. While earlier Kennedy half-dollars were made from 90% silver, starting in 1971, the coins were made from a copper-nickel-clad composition, making them more affordable to produce. However, this change also meant that these coins were often less cherished by collectors. The widespread circulation and the use of non-precious metals meant that the Kennedy half-dollar was not as highly regarded in the years following its release, compared to earlier silver coins, but that's what makes this particular coin so intriguing to collectors today. The 1981 Kennedy half-dollar with the P. mint mark is part of a series of coins that have grown increasingly rare in high-quality condition. While they were produced in large numbers, many of these coins became heavily worn, tarnished, or damaged during circulation. So, when you find one of these coins in mint condition, it stands out as a rarity. One of the key factors that increased the value of the 1981 P. Kennedy half-dollar is its scarcity in uncirculated or near-mint condition. A coin in pristine shape, with little to no wear or blemishes, is a rarity that collectors are always on the lookout for. When a coin has been carefully preserved, it has the potential to be worth far more than a typical circulated version. The value increases even more if the coin has been graded as a high-quality specimen by one of the major coin grading services, such as PCGS or NGC. But what about other characteristics that could enhance the value of this coin? Well, like many other coins, the 1981 Kennedy half-dollar could have potential errors that would make it even more valuable. Minting errors can include things like double dies, off-center strikes, or die cracks, which occur when the dies used to strike the coin are misaligned or damaged during production. These types of errors are incredibly rare, but they can make a coin exponentially more valuable. For example, a 1981 Kennedy half-dollar with a noticeable double die error could be worth a lot more than a regular version of the coin. Double die coins have a distinct doubling effect on the lettering or design elements of the coin, making them highly sought after by collectors. If you happen to find a 1981 Kennedy half-dollar with such an error, you could be looking at a significant increase in value, as these error coins are often sold for premium prices at auctions. Now, let's talk about the big question: how much can a 1981 Kennedy half-dollar be worth? As you know, the value of a coin depends largely on its condition and rarity. Most of the 1981 Kennedy half-dollars in circulation today are worth only their face value, 50 cents. However, when you find one that's in perfect, uncirculated condition, it can be worth a lot more. Coins with pristine qualities, high grades, or minting errors have been known to fetch impressive sums at auction. In fact, a well-preserved 1981 Kennedy half-dollar could be worth up to $100,000. Yes, that's $100,000 for a single coin. While this is certainly an exceptional price and not the norm for most 1981 Kennedy half-dollars, it does go to show the incredible potential this coin has. If you come across one of these rare, high-quality coins, you could be sitting on a small fortune. So, if you have a 1981 Kennedy half-dollar or come across one in your coin collection or during a coin hunt, take a moment to inspect it carefully. Look for any signs of wear or damage and, if it looks like it's in excellent condition, it might be worth sending it to a professional grader for evaluation. You never know, what seems like a simple coin could turn out to be a valuable collector's item. To sum up, the 1981 Kennedy half-dollar might not be the first coin that comes to mind when you think of rare and valuable U.S. currency, but its potential value, especially in high-quality condition or with a minting error, can be surprising. So, keep an eye out for this coin, as it could turn out to be a hidden treasure in your collection. Today we're diving into a coin that is not only rich in history but also has some impressive value potential: the 1776 to 1976 Kennedy half-dollar with the P mint mark. This particular coin has become a cherished piece of American numismatic history, and if you're lucky enough to find one in exceptional condition, you could be holding on to something worth a small fortune. Let's take a step back in time to 1976. The United States was celebrating its 200th anniversary, a monumental event that marked the bicentennial of the nation's independence. To honor this special occasion, the U.S. Mint released a series of commemorative coins, including the Kennedy half-dollar, which was struck with a unique design that year. The coin featured not just President John F. Kennedy's iconic profile, but also a special reverse design to mark the bicentennial. On the reverse of the 1776 to 1976 Kennedy half-dollar, you'll find a fascinating new design: a colonial drummer boy, complete with a drum, symbolizing the spirit of the American Revolution and the birth of the nation. This image was meant to reflect the historical significance of the United States' independence and was part of a broader effort to commemorate the nation's 200th birthday. It's one of the many examples of how the U.S. Mint uses coinage not just as currency, but also as a way to celebrate American history and culture. The 1776 to 1976 Kennedy half-dollar with the P mint mark was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. This mint mark indicates that the coin was struck in Philadelphia, one of the 4 main U.S. Mint facilities. While the P mint mark may seem relatively common, the 1776 to 1976 coin has a distinct place in U.S. coinage history due to its commemorative nature. It wasn't just another routine coin, it was a way for the country to celebrate its past and look forward to the future. These coins were issued in large numbers to commemorate the bicentennial, making them widely circulated, but not all of them have survived in pristine condition. The real appeal of the 1776 to 1976 Kennedy half-dollar lies in its rarity in uncirculated or near-perfect condition. Given that millions of these coins were minted to mark the bicentennial, most of them circulated widely. Over time, many of these coins suffered from wear and tarnish, making it harder to find examples in excellent condition. If you come across one of these coins that has been well preserved, it's worth paying close attention, as it could be worth far more than its face value. As with any coin, condition plays a massive role in determining its value. Coins are graded on a scale that ranges from good to mint state, with the highest grade being MS 70, which signifies a flawless, uncirculated coin. A Kennedy $50 in this grade is a rare find, and it could command a premium price. The better the condition, the more valuable the coin becomes, and collectors are always on the lookout for high-quality specimens. Beyond condition, the mintage numbers also play a role in the coin's value. While the 1776 to 1976 Kennedy $50 was minted in large quantities, certain variations or special characteristics can set a specific coin apart. For instance, while the Philadelphia Mint produced the 1776 to 1976 $50 with the P Mint mark, there were also coins produced at the Denver and San Francisco mints. Each mint has its own set of characteristics and sometimes even slight variations in the coin's design or quality. Some of these variations are more desirable to collectors, making certain coins even more valuable. One particularly important factor is the coin strike. The strike refers to how well the coin was pressed during the minting process. Coins that have a sharp, clear image with no distortion or blurry features are considered to have an excellent strike. In contrast, coins with weak strikes or fading details are generally less desirable. The 1776 to 1976 Kennedy $50 with a strong, well-defined strike is considered much more valuable than one with a poorly executed strike, which can significantly affect its market price. Now, let's talk about the true value of this coin. As we mentioned earlier, the 1776 to 1976 Kennedy $50 was produced in large numbers. However, finding one in excellent, uncirculated condition, with a high grade or perhaps even a rare minting error, can increase its value significantly. Many of these coins are worth only a few dollars, especially if they're in average or circulated condition. But, if you've managed to find one that has been kept in perfect condition, free from scratches, tarnish, or damage, you could be looking at a much higher price tag. And here's the moment you've all been waiting for. If you happen to own a 1776 to 1976 Kennedy $50 in top condition or with a rare minting error, it could be worth an eye-popping $140,000. Yes, you read that correctly, $140,000 for a single coin. The price reflects the rarity of finding this coin in such pristine condition, along with the strong collector demand for these iconic pieces of American history. So, what should you look for if you think you have one of these valuable coins? First, check the condition. Look for any signs of wear or damage, and if it's in great shape, consider having it graded by a professional coin grading service. If the coin shows little to no signs of circulation and has clear, sharp details, you might have a winner on your hands. If you suspect that your coin may have a minting error, such as doubling in the design or any other unusual features, make sure to have it examined by an expert, as these errors can significantly increase the value. The 1776 to 1976 Kennedy $50 is more than just a piece of currency, it's a piece of history, a symbol of the United States bicentennial celebration, and a coin that has the potential to be worth far more than its face value. Whether you've stumbled upon one in your collection, found it in a box of old coins, or just started learning about it, now you know what to look for when evaluating its value. So, if you come across a 1776 to 1976 Kennedy $50, take a moment to examine it closely. It might just be your ticket to owning a rare piece of American numismatic history that could be worth an impressive amount of money. Today, we're diving into a fascinating piece of U.S. coinage that's often overlooked but holds incredible potential value for those who know what to look for. We're talking about the 1973 Kennedy $50. This coin might seem like just another $50, but trust me, it's got more to it than you might think. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting your numismatic journey, this coin could hold a hidden treasure worth far more than its face value. Let's start with a little history to understand why the 1973 Kennedy $50 is so special. The Kennedy half-dollar has been in circulation since 1964, created in honor of President John F. Kennedy following his tragic assassination in 1963. The coin's design features Kennedy's portrait on the obverse, designed by Gilroy Roberts, and the reverse displays the familiar U.S. eagle, an emblem of strength and unity. Over the years, the design has remained relatively consistent, making it one of the most recognizable coins in American history. By the time the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar was minted, the coin had already gone through some significant changes. While the early Kennedy half-dollars were struck in 90% silver, by 1971, the coin's composition shifted to a copper-nickel clad, making it less valuable in terms of precious metals. However, the change in composition didn't diminish its importance in American coinage. In fact, it led to the coin becoming much more common, which is part of what makes the 1973 version intriguing. The 1973 Kennedy half-dollar was minted at multiple U.S. mint facilities, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The mint mark, which is located on the obverse side of the coin, indicates where the coin was struck. For this particular video, we're focusing on the coins with the D mint mark, meaning they were produced at the Denver Mint. The D mint mark was used to distinguish coins minted in Denver from those made in other facilities, and while the 1973 Denver minted coin isn't exactly rare, it's still a coin that has the potential for great value under the right circumstances. Now, what makes the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar stand out from the rest of the coins in circulation during that time? The truth is that there isn't a major change in design or material for the 1973 issue. So, why should collectors pay attention to this particular coin? The answer lies in its condition, rarity, and potential mint errors. Like most coins from the 1970s, the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar was produced in large numbers and saw a lot of use in day-to-day transactions. The majority of these coins are heavily worn, tarnished, and damaged after years of circulation, which means that the vast majority of these coins aren't worth much more than their face value. But here's the thing: coins that have been well preserved, stored in excellent condition, or left uncirculated are rare finds, and rare finds always attract the attention of collectors. If you have a 1973 Kennedy half-dollar that's in pristine, uncirculated condition, it could be worth significantly more than its 50-cent face value. This is where coin grading becomes crucial. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect, flawless coin. A coin graded as MS 65 or higher is considered to be in excellent condition, and one with a higher grade can command much higher prices. Coins that have been properly stored and protected from damage or tarnishing are particularly valuable to collectors who seek the best examples of each coin. Beyond the condition of the coin, collectors also pay close attention to potential errors in the minting process. Minting errors are one of the most exciting and valuable aspects of coin collecting. These errors can include things like double dies, off-center strikes, or die cracks. If you're lucky enough to find a 1973 Kennedy half-dollar with a minting error, it could be worth a significant amount more than a regular, well-preserved coin. For example, a coin with a double die error, where the design is slightly doubled due to a mistake in the die, can be worth a small fortune. The 1973 Kennedy half-dollar, while not exceedingly rare, has a small but dedicated group of collectors who are always on the lookout for coins in excellent condition or with minting errors. The combination of the coin's age, the potential for high-grade examples, and the allure of error coins makes it a desirable piece for collectors. So, let's get down to the big question: how much is the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar worth? While most 1973 Kennedy half-dollars in average condition are worth only a couple of dollars, the value can skyrocket if the coin is in exceptional condition or has a minting error. In fact, a high-grade 1973 Kennedy half-dollar could fetch an impressive sum at auction or from a private buyer. A coin in pristine condition or one that has a rare minting error could be worth $110,000, that's right, $110,000 for a single coin. While this price is certainly for the rarest of the rare, it goes to show just how valuable this seemingly common coin can be under the right circumstances. Whether you're flipping through old coin collections, searching through your own stash of coins, or scouring the market for that perfect example, knowing the value of a 1973 Kennedy half-dollar can help you make a wise investment in the world of numismatics. To sum it all up, the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar may not be one of the first coins that come to mind when you think of rare and valuable American coins, but its potential for high value, especially in excellent condition or with minting errors, makes it a treasure worth hunting for. If you happen to have one of these coins in your collection or stumble upon one in your travels, it might just be worth a closer look. You could be holding onto a piece of U.S. coinage history that's worth much more than you thought. Today, we have a special treat for you. We're going to be discussing a fascinating coin that you might not think holds much value at first glance, but trust me, it could surprise you. We're talking about the 1992 Kennedy half-dollar with the P mint mark. You might be familiar with the Kennedy half-dollar series, but this particular coin from 1992 could be worth far more than you ever imagined, especially if you find one in the right condition. Let's start with a little bit of history to understand the significance of the 1992 Kennedy half-dollar. The Kennedy half-dollar, first minted in 1964, was created as a tribute to President John F. Kennedy after his tragic assassination. Initially struck in 90% silver, these coins quickly became a beloved piece of U.S. numismatic history. By 1971, however, the U.S. Mint shifted the composition of the coin to a copper-nickel clad, which made it less valuable in terms of precious metals but didn't take away from its importance. By 1992, the Kennedy half-dollar had been around for nearly 3 decades. While the coin's design remained the same throughout the years, featuring a portrait of President Kennedy on the obverse and the U.S. eagle on the reverse, the coin saw a significant decrease in popularity. The Kennedy half-dollar was no longer widely used in everyday transactions, and its production had dropped considerably. Despite this, certain years and mint marks of the Kennedy half-dollar are still highly sought after by collectors, and the 1992 P mint mark version is one of those coins that can command a surprising value if you find it in pristine condition. The P mint mark on this coin indicates that it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the most important coin-producing facilities in the United States. Philadelphia coins are often considered a bit more desirable, especially for collectors who are focused on assembling full sets of coins from different mints. While the 1992 Kennedy half-dollar was minted in relatively large quantities, there are still factors that can make this particular coin worth far more than face value. One of the biggest factors? Condition. As with any coin, condition is key to determining its value. The majority of 1992 Kennedy half-dollars you'll find out there are likely to be in well-worn, circulated condition. These coins have been used in daily transactions and have seen their fair share of wear and tear. But if you're lucky enough to find one that has been carefully stored away, in uncirculated or near-perfect condition, you might have something special on your hands. When coins are minted, they go through a process where they're struck by dies, and this process can sometimes lead to imperfections. Some coins end up with small details that make them more unique and even more valuable. If your 1992 Kennedy half-dollar has sharp, clear details with no signs of wear, scratches, or discoloration, it's considered to be in excellent condition, and its value could rise significantly. Coin grading is crucial when determining how much a coin is worth. A coin's grade is determined by its appearance, including the clarity of the design, its surface condition, and its overall wear. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being perfect. If your 1992 Kennedy half-dollar is graded as MS 65 or higher, it's considered to be in excellent condition and could be worth much more than face value. Higher graded coins can fetch premiums in the market, and collectors will pay top dollar for coins that are as close to perfect as possible, but the value doesn't just stop with condition. Rare errors can make a coin incredibly valuable. When a minting error occurs, it creates a unique version of the coin that stands out from the rest. For example, a 1992 Kennedy half-dollar with a double die error, where the design is doubled due to an issue with the die, can be worth a lot more than a standard coin. Other errors like off-center strikes, die cracks, or misaligned designs are also highly sought after by collectors. Now, you're probably wondering, how much is this coin actually worth? As we've discussed, the 1992 Kennedy half dollar isn't particularly rare in general, but the real value comes from finding one in top condition or with a rare minting error. In fact, if you happen to find a 1992 Kennedy half dollar that's in near mint condition or has an error, it could be worth a jaw-dropping $97,000, that's right, $97,000 for a single coin. While this price is reserved for the rarest and most pristine examples, it demonstrates just how valuable a 1992 Kennedy half dollar can be if you have the right conditions. This is why coin collectors around the world are constantly on the lookout for high-quality coins. Those rare finds can be worth far more than you might think. The market for rare coins is filled with surprises, and sometimes, a seemingly ordinary coin turns out to be worth a small fortune. So, if you have a 1992 Kennedy half dollar or if you're out hunting for rare coins, keep a close eye on the condition. Look for coins that have been carefully preserved, free from damage, and check for any unusual features or minting errors. You never know, you might be holding a coin that's worth far more than you ever imagined. In conclusion, the 1992 Kennedy half dollar is an example of a coin that may seem like just another everyday piece of US currency, but with the right condition and features, it can be a highly valuable collectible. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or a newcomer to coin collecting, this coin is worth keeping an eye out for. It may not be as well known as some of the more famous US coins, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have tremendous value waiting to be discovered. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you found this information helpful and want to learn more about rare and valuable coins, be sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you don't miss any future coin discoveries. Happy collecting, and until next time.